Earlier this week, I talked to Matt Warshaw, the author of Encyclopedia of Surfing and History of Surfing. This episode is coming really soon. And he mentioned that there were no girls in the lineup when he started surfing in 1969 in Venice Beach. That made me think about the first ever woman in surf. You know, like the first woman in space. So, for your sake, I went down a little rabbit hole. Welcome to the Wipeout Weekly, the daily podcast for beginners, wannabe surfers, and seasoned wipeout enthusiasts. No hype, no filler, just the highs, lows, and honest truth about learning to surf and finding your place in surf culture. I'm your host, Suze Wilson. Let's go out. Space is easy. Surfing? Not so much. The first woman in space was Valentina Tereshkova, a Soviet cosmonaut who orbited the Earth 38 times in June 1963. She was only 26 at the time and had been selected in part because of her experience as a skydiver. It would be nearly 20 years before the second woman, also from the Soviet Union, went to space. And then finally, the first American woman, Sally Ride, orbited the Earth. But what about the first ever woman in the lineup? That timeline is much harder to pinpoint. We know the stories of the ancient Hawaiians, men and women surfing naked together, mixing freely. So we know both women and men surfed, royalty and commoners alike. Sure, women weren't allowed to eat with men, but hey, the ocean is a great leveler. Hawaiian oral traditions, mo'olelo, and later 19th century writings are full of descriptions, usually written by ever so fascinated men, of expert female surfers who literally pounded men in surf competitions. I say pounded, the 19th century writers say the gentler sex frequently carried off the highest honors. And if you want to go one step further back, into the land of fable, the volcano goddess Pele and her sister Hi'iaka, goddess of the hula, were both wave riders. I'm all in on legends and fairy tales, so listen to this one. Princess Kelea, the sister of King Kauao of Maui from the 15th century, once declared her surfboard to be her husband. According to Uilani Macabeo, a Hawaiian cultural practitioner, Kelea, she has this wit and cunning and fast mouth, really smart. Gotta love this girl. She was not only renowned for her exceptional beauty, but also for unmatched surfing experience. Legends describe her fearlessly riding the powerful swells of the Auau Channel, leading some to believe she was favored by the sea gods. The Auau Channel, should you ever wish to visit, lies between West Maui, Lanai, Kohoalave, and Molokai. We could spend an entire episode talking about Kelea, but since she belongs more to the realm of legends, and we can't be certain whether she was a real historical figure or a mythical heroine, let's fast forward to the 18th and 19th centuries. Queen Ka'ahumanu, the favorite wife of King Kamehameha I, was a surfer. And not just some dabbler. She surfed heavy waves and surfed them well. And yes, since I said favorite wife, you're probably wondering, how many wives did he have? At least 21. Possibly 30 plus. But hey, it was not about companionship. It was all about political alliances. Kamehameha himself taught the queen to ride waves and even built a protected cove at Kohala Point so she could practice. They often surfed together, and she was regarded as an exceptionally skilled surfer, on par with the king himself. Also, this girl went surfing while her lover was being burned to death as a sacrifice at the temple in Waikiki. So yeah, kudos. But then, the true tragedy. King Kamehameha dies in 1819, and Ahumanu goes from fun-loving surfer to Christian devotee. She bans surfing on Sundays and generally discourages it. Sad. Which is why I'm probably leaning towards the stories about her mother, Namahana, as the true first woman in the lineup. Peter Puget, who writes extensively about Namahana, served as a lieutenant aboard the Discovery when it sailed for the South Pacific in 1791. That period is important because in 1794, King Kamehameha entered a strategic alliance with Great Britain in exchange for military assistance. So let's not call it a secession. Here's what Puget wrote on January 27, 1974, about Namahana. From Keomoku village, we walked through some pleasant, cultivated grounds to a small, stony beach, where the natives were amusing themselves in the surf on swimming boards. Namahana, the wife of Keomoku, who is reckoned one of the most expert at that diversion, immediately stripped naked. And she certainly, notwithstanding her corpulency, performed her part with wonderful dexterity. The first sea or surf that brought her in toward the beach was immensely high. On its top she came, floating on the broad board till the breaker had nearly reached the rocks. She then suddenly turned, went under that and the one following, and so on, till she had regained her situation at the back of the hole. Then she waited for a large swell and once more performed her part with great expertness. Numbers of men, women, and boys were in her company, and I was in momentary expectation of seeing some dashed to pieces. Sweet! And that's all for today. Check out the Waipai Weekly for our free newsletter, more stories, and ways to connect with us. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow for more of the Waipai Weekly.